Bring that down some. That's good. All right. Uh, yeah, kill music. um, a lot of you all may know me. Most probably won't. My name is Lil Hayes, also known as Hated Hayes, Laval Hayes. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the situation going on right now. Okay, the George Floyd situation. Um, a couple of years ago, I spoke to the Montgomery County, Maryland Council and gave them a suggestion that, of course, wasn't listened to at all. And that's why this kind of thing is still happening. This isn't about race, okay? It's about bad training and bad policy, both formal and informal. Um, George Floyd sat there on the ground. I'm not going to go and show all the videos. I think we've seen enough of that. Not that it won't help hit home to see it more, but for me, uh, for my situation, I've seen enough. Because, see, I've been in these situations. Um, here's the thing. When Officer Derek Chauvin had his knee on that man's neck, okay? As that man laid down, that officer had his knee here. That wasn't so much hitting the airwaves, it was restricting it, as you see. Yes, it was. But the jugular was also pressed, which means for 8 minutes, that man was being brought to being brain dead, which is probably why he stopped breathing. Derek Chauvin, he should be arrested for murder, yes. Thomas Lane, J. Alexander Cohn, those two should be accessories because they kneeled on that man further down, or at least in front of him, holding him down right next to that officer, knowing what that officer was doing. They had to have known, especially with the man and the fact that he couldn't talk because it was restricted. That alone should have told them to say, hey, bring the knee up. We got him. But that didn't happen, did it? No, because officers are trained that no matter what, they're to stand behind one another, whether it be proper or improper. Okay? Because even when they're doing something improper, as you see on many videos, they'll bring charges out of it so they can get you for something. And this was no different. Yeah, the man had a record in another state. Okay? He'd been to prison. Sure. He'd been to prison. However, that does not give anyone the right to end a person's life. Now, the fact that those officers probably didn't know that at the time, or maybe they did a check and they found out, who knows? But here's the thing. Either way, it should not matter. Because when you're detaining somebody, and believe me, okay, I first started working in law enforcement back in, mid-'80s. And a lot of things that I saw back then, I didn't agree with, and I wouldn't be a part of. But here's the thing. What was done to him was wrong. There was absolutely no reason to keep a knee on that man's neck when you have two grown men next to you holding down the same individual with you. Why couldn't you take your knee off of the neck and put your hands on the shoulder? Why couldn't you do that? Why? Because people were telling you you need to stop, and your ego got in the way and killed a man. That's why. The other two with you, right directly next to you, Thomas Lane, J. Alexander Cohn, they're accessories because they could have stopped you. Okay? They could have stopped you. And then you have, what's his name? To Sal, okay? You have him standing there trying to block people from seeing what's going on, which he should have known it was stupid to even try that. But also, he could have at some point said, hey, look, the guy sounds a little funny back behind me. Let me turn around and see what's going on, and maybe intervene a little bit enough that the guy's going to be okay. But you all are trained not to interfere with another officer's actions. Why? Because in your mind, that makes you look little. How about you be human? You already have the numbers on one guy. What more do you need? You did not need to kill that man at all. It was senseless. And it's not even about color. It's about bad protocol. It's about backing up another officer's bullshit instead of doing the right thing and stopping it. That's what it's about. It's about training. I said it back then, and I'm saying it again. It's about training, and nothing more and nothing less. It's about training. Because if you train properly before they're out on the street, when they get on the street, they're only going to know how to do right. Why have one officer cover another officer's bullcrap? That makes absolutely no sense. And here's the thing. It happens on about 90+% of the calls that go out in every department in this country, if not the world. This country, from what I've seen, definitely. That's what needs to change. If you don't change that, it's going to keep happening. And you're going to have people burning down cities and police stations. When will you all stop being idiots and learn that your way is no longer the right way in today's society? Retrain. You don't have to shoot a guy just because he has a knife in his head. You don't have to shoot him in the heart because he has a knife. Shoot him in the leg. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be an officer. Plain and simple. And I'm not saying if he's running at you and he's close, you got to take him out. You got to do what you got to do. Understandable. But when I see people half a block away, 30 feet away, just standing there, drop the knife, 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 kill you, kill you, kill you. No. Go down a little, shoot him in the leg. I bet you he'll drop that knife. Okay? I promise you, if you call me when there's a situation around my area, I promise you, if it's a knife, I promise you that I can show up and I can disarm that individual without having to shoot him. It makes no sense. Having a man down on the ground with your knee in his neck while he's down there being still with two other officers on him at the same time makes no sense. That's called an ego trip because you didn't want to adhere to common sense that was being shouted to you from around you. You just didn't like where it was coming from. That's probably the real racism in this. Because all you saw was this guy on the ground under you, right? You weren't looking at him as a color now, were you, Mr. Chauvin? Were you? No. But I bet you that you were looking at them voices around you as color, telling you to stop killing that man, and you still didn't want to listen. So whether or not you're a racist, as far as that man on your knee who died, is up to you, in your mind, till you get to him. And that's where the real judgment will happen. Because, see, here's the other thing. They'll try to let you off the hook, just like your mayor or whoever. They're going to let you off the hook as best they can. Why? So they have to pay less out. That's why, because it always comes back to money. So, you all have an attorney for the family, okay? Well, do me a favor, Mr. Attorney. Don't be a sellout and sit there and sell out. Go to court. Go to a real trial and let the world see firsthand what can happen if an officer does this kind of thing, okay? Don't sell out on a deal. You fight, and you fight for that family, and most of all, you fight for that man that can't fight for himself because he can no longer breathe. Don't expect society to get better if the people who are governing that society isn't A, doing their part, and B, when things need to change, don't expect all the change in the world to come from your citizens. You have to do some of the changes too. Like it or not, have a good day. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up because I couldn't sleep because of this. Do something right.